Okay.
Oh, we're live, it says.
One of these days we're going to be like, well, hello, we're live. It's so good to see you today. Instead of like, are we live? Are we live yet?
I think we're live.
Happening? Are we live?
Yes, we are. That's what it says on my screen, at least.
Yeah, so let me just go to, so they can see all of us.
Okay.
It's technology. But yes, hi, I see people. So we are here today to talk to you about New Year's resolutions. And just to introduce these beautiful women, which you guys know. But we have Dawn from The Minimal Mom and Dana from A Slob Comes Clean. And I'm so honored to have you guys here on the Facebook page. And we have a ton of already people here watching. So hello and welcome.
Hello, everybody.
So we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions, which is so exciting. You know what I have to do, though? I have to mute my... Are you getting this? I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, if you play the YouTube while we're on Zoom, it's going to be delayed and it messes everything up. So, yeah.
I'm going to turn that volume down. Technology and I are not friends. But we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions. And this is something that I just started doing again, because New Year's resolutions for me were always the worst. I'd last all of 2 days if I was lucky and then feel like a giant failure. Tell me I'm not alone, you guys.
Oh,
I would say I'm anti-resolutions, but I also want to acknowledge that natural energy that comes at this time of year that makes us want to make New Year's resolutions. So I try to harness that energy and get stuff done while I can so that I don't end up, just feeling like a failure.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
So what I started doing a couple of years ago that I felt worked for me, like instead of having a resolution, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this week or this year, or I'm going to get my house organized. It was more like a vision for my life, which felt more attainable. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be a more organized person, or I'm going to be a healthier person, or I'd have like, I'm going to simplify, and simplify was like my word of the year. And that just took so much pressure off myself. And when I didn't have the overwhelm and the pressure, I just kept being more motivated. Right. And I found
so
like
you make SMART goals, right? Where they're like measurable and like, well, I don't know what all the things are.
But I also do a vision board. Do you guys do a vision board? I know this is woo-woo.
I never have.
I'm going to sell you on this for just a second. So I don't believe the universe gifts you things magically, but people who believe that, that's awesome. But what I do believe is in the power of positive thinking. And I think when I had a vision board, I would remember the things that I wanted. It's almost like I would forget my resolution or my vision or my goal. But when I had it and every day I was like seeing it, even like out of the corner of my eye, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to make a salad instead of a burger for lunch today.
Yeah. It keeps it in front of you. Totally. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So vision boards totally worked for me. So are you guys doing resolutions or something for this year? I know Dana's like, I'm not loving them, but what is your plans for this year?
I am after I got back from being with you guys. So I have decided that I am going to do the dishes every single day, no matter what.
Yay!
So Dana convinced me.
It will change everything, I promise. It really does not seem like it will, but it will. But I think to me that's such a great example of a resolution because it's literally just the smallest thing that you can do, but it has a huge impact, and it's like my decluttering, the way that I declutter is always, my goal is to only make progress, never cause myself to get into a worse situation. So that's how I try to approach my goals. It's like, even if you do the dishes almost every day next week, you're going to be better off, period, no matter what. It's not like, okay, I'm making a resolution where I'm going to go buy all this stuff to be ready. And then that stuff sits there and I don't use it and I feel like a failure. Instead, doing something where even if this is the only day that I do this, I'll be glad I did it. And then because I'll be glad I did it, then I'm inspired to keep going the next day and the next day and the next day. And so, like, you know, one of my main goals right now is to actually get things that I have decluttered out of the house. Like, you know, because if I will do that, then I never have to think about those things again. And my house is better off, and I'm better off, and my brain is better off because I don't have to worry about that. So it's like, it's like going ahead and finishing instead of just planning, but finishing in a way where then I can build on that later.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Last year, my mantra for 2020 was simplify. I feel like maybe it went a little overboard because
the universe helped you do that.
It did. The universe.
The universe really helped out fast.
I simplified. I didn't see anybody. I didn't go anywhere. Jeepers creepers. My life got really simplified. Yeah. But so I'm scrapping that one. We're not using that one for this year. I am going with Dana with your message of 5 minutes matters, because even though my house is I feel like it's under control, there are still things that I put off. Like, I think it's gonna, oh God, this is gonna take an hour, so I'm gonna wait until I have an hour to do it, or until I feel motivated to do it. Like, take down my Christmas decor. Can we just say that that's a freaking nightmare? But 5 minutes matters is like, it's changing my life right now, because I'm like, I just have to do it for 5 minutes, and then I always forget to stop. And I keep going.
And if you don't, you're 5 minutes better off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So 5 minutes matters. I just keep repeating it to myself. And I've repeated it to myself so many times now since we got together, that I'll get out of the bathroom and it's almost like, I'm like, oh, look at this bathroom. He grew a beard and he's trimming it, and there's beard hair everywhere.
Beard trimming. Oh my goodness. I know what you mean. I've got 3 guys in my house that do that.
And I get out of the shower and I'm like, I feel instant rage. And I'm like, this is going to be a whole thing and I got to clean it. But what pops into my head is 5 minutes matters. So I just do a quick wipe and I feel better. Yes, he should be wiping it, but that's a whole other conversation that we're not having right now. But, you know, and then it's gone out. I feel better. And it literally is even less than 5 minutes. And so thank you. I just want to thank you guys for
let's
the
make
5
sure
minutes.
We tell them why we were all together, in case anybody hasn't heard.
Yeah, Dawn, you do it. This was your brainchild.
Well, I mean, we're so excited about our course, Take Your Life Back, Take Your House Back. And I think what was so fun about it is that we really wanted to gear it towards everyone who the regular decluttering and organizing and housekeeping methods haven't worked for you. Because if those work for you, then your house is probably in pretty good shape. You get enough from our YouTube videos and everything. But we really wanted to put our heads together and come up with a game plan for the rest of us and really lay it out in, you know, a course-like format or a system or a game plan where you can go through it and really get just the exact tools that you need, especially if you have any kind of like chronic fatigue or energy issues, ADD or ADHD, small kids, if you work, if you have any kinds of children, and especially kids that if they have any kind of special needs, if you're caring for parents or other family members. I mean, most of us have something that is pulling at our time. Or if you just really struggle with motivation and energy towards this, you know, the emotional energy that it takes, I feel like all of the tactics in the course are going to help you be successful and really see some real progress this year in your house.
And that's takeyourhouseback.com. Yeah.
Yes. And I want to apologize. I'm not
actually going to do infomercials.
I want to apologize.
Sign up now.
I have to apologize to you guys watching, because I've been telling you the 4-sort method for decluttering, but decluttering has never been hard for me. And so when I'm decluttering, I'm like, if you don't use it, you don't love it, put it in a basket. What's the big deal? Yeah. But I really learned so much from you, Dana. Like, Dana is like, no, it isn't easy. It's hard. I want to keep everything. I feel like almost anxiety, letting go of things. And so she showed me another decluttering method and we walked through it in the course, and I'm going to be better at my job now. I'm going to be more empathetic, and I feel like I have new tools to help people who really struggle with letting go. So if you are someone who really struggles to let go, the method that we teach in this course will help you no matter what, no matter what. So only for 2 more days, you can use the coupon code earlybird20 to save $20 off, making it $79. That coupon code is going away at the end of this month, so make sure you do that. And I see a lot of people. Oh, my everyday housewife life says your hubby is finally decluttering now. Progress, yes. Yay. That's a question we get asked a lot, right? How do you get your spouse on board? How do you get other people on board? And we all agree. We all have the same thing, which is like you start with you. And you do your stuff first, and the common area stuff first. And I think all of our husbands sort of saw the benefit of having less and how life-changing it was, and all came on board without us having to nag. Did you guys nag?
No.
Oh, I mean, there would have been a little nagging. I mean, no, you didn't? Okay. No,
it's not that I never said anything. And it's not that I don't still have times where I get irritated, you know, and I'm like, do you realize I write books on this? I mean, come on, you should do what I say. It's really tired of me saying that, but yeah, no, I would say I did not have to, you know, and part of my story is I didn't tell anybody what I was doing because I was so sure I was going to fail, because I had always failed before when I had tried to get my house under control. And so because it was all a secret, I couldn't tell him. And because of that, he did start to see the difference. And then it really started to change how he viewed our home. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dawn. I interrupted you.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. No, actually, what's funny in our household is usually Tom's the one saying, you do YouTube videos on this, right? So I still might have a couple messy tendencies, right? So
me too.
But I feel like they've been so much better since we've been together, though. And so, I mean, it's just so inspiring. What's funny, Dana, is that so I read your book over the summer, Decluttering at the Speed of Life. And in it, that's where I was first introduced to your method of how to declutter without making a mess, which we talk about in the course and go into really great depth. And it made even more sense. But so this past summer, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a YouTube video on Dana's method, right? Of how to declutter without making a mess. And I am so used to having to take other people's methods and like adapt them for my style or for my viewers or whatever, because normal stuff doesn't normally work for me. So I'm going through your method and I'm like, oh, right. Like I'm supposed to run this stuff now to where it actually, like where its home is and stuff. And so I'm doing it. And I turn around and I'm like, there is no mess behind me. Like you say, I have made progress and only progress. I could walk away right now and the closet is better off from it. And it was like this it was like this huge light bulb moment where I was like, oh my goodness, this really works. This really works.
Really and I needed a no-fail method because I was so used to failing. But yeah, and I mean, I had to figure it out because it's not natural to me. I am still naturally messy. Like that is who I am. So my strategies, I have to combat that. Like I have to put things in place or do things like we were talking about with New Year's resolutions. It was like, I have to do things that I can finish, because if I just set up systems, it doesn't really take me as far as doing something where, you know, even just doing part of it or a little bit of it, I'm going to be better off.
Yeah. And I do feel though, I mean, so we actually spend like almost an hour, almost like a 51-minute video in the course going through this together. And that actually made this whole system make even more sense to me. Like it's not complicated by any means, but for the three of us to be able to like talk it out and like use, like we're in an actual closet, like doing it, it was so helpful. And so I kind of wonder too, for even people, you know, that have followed you forever and have heard about it a lot, to actually see us do it together and to see some real life examples like that, I feel like it's going to be helpful, and it's just going to help you to like get through this stuff even quicker too. So I feel like there's a lot of value in that.
Because I was very skeptic.
Yeah.
And so I asked a lot of questions because I have ADHD, and the thought of walking things to where they go seems really counterintuitive to me, but I saw the benefit because when you get to where it goes, you have to, it's like, this doesn't fit because this spot is full. So I have to bring something back with me. So it kept me focused and it kept me, yeah, it was brilliant. Anyways, I was very impressed.
But I think that's a lot of the value is because that is not the way that you've decluttered, because generally you don't need to. Like we've talked about, you are a finisher. Like you are driven to make sure you finish the spot completely. I don't have that. So I had to come up with a way to not, to be able to make progress without that. But because you have all those questions, I think we were able to answer all of those skepticism questions and explain how it works through the course of the video. And I think there's a lot of value in that.
Okay, so Artemis Animals asks, what's a good way to store bulky sweaters, hoodies, cardigans? Your dresser is full and you don't often hang things. No under the bed either. Okay, I have a great idea for this, Artemis, because my husband and I also don't love hanging things on hangers all the time. So we have hooks that we hung behind the door just for hoodies, just for bulky sweaters. And it holds about 15 of them, which is awesome. You don't see it because I'm a ladybug because it's behind the door, but it's a sweater and a hoodie is something you can wear more than one time without having to wash it, right? So hooks, friends. Hooks over hangers, especially for us macro organizers, is something I 100% recommend.
Did you say 15? I kind of had that same thought, but that's so good for you.
You're like, I have 2 sweaters, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Move to Texas, and you won't need near as many.
Yeah. I picked that one. Let's go to Texas.
I am not a minimalist at all. It's so funny. Well, I have a lot of everything.
Well, but so like my answer to that is, okay, so whatever system actually works for you, if it's, you don't have a lot of drawer space, unfortunately, the space that you have is the space that you have, like that's, I know that's so like, okay, you really have to say that, but that's what I needed to hear. Like, that's what I didn't understand. I kept thinking there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way for me to be able to keep everything. But instead, when I got to the point where I said, okay, this drawer that I have not for sweatshirts for me, but because I have like 3 on a shelf in my closet and I'm good for the whole year, but because I live in Texas, but letting that space be the limit, you may need more than will fit in there currently. But when you look at it that way, you're probably going to be able to go, oh, I have an entire drawer full of stuff that's either aspirational, like maybe one day I'm going to fit back into it, or maybe, those are my workout clothes whatever, like it could be anything, but you probably have a drawer of stuff that you don't use as much. And when you start to view that, this is the space I have, and this is what I actually need to store, then that stuff becomes, container worthy when you view each space as a container, a limit to how much you can keep and your house be under control. It's not the answer I ever wanted to hear, but it's the answer that actually has changed my house.
Now I got to go purge my sweaters. I feel.
No, you don't.
No, I do.
You have a system and a system. You're good.
And just a reminder, you can ask questions in the comments. It's helpful if you put a question mark in front of it. And if we don't see it, go ahead and post it again and we'll try and catch it.
So Naperal Butterfly asks, what's the best way to store tablecloths and cloth napkins? Your mom has several. Okay, so this is one thing that I'm going to say. If you're not using it all the time, that's the type of stuff that I let go and I do not miss. I used to have placemats and tablecloths and different napkins for different occasions. I had the Christmas napkins and all of that. I don't miss any of that. I'm so thankful that I let that stuff go. And I think if there's one really special one that you use for the holidays, to keep that. But yeah, letting that stuff go, that takes a ton of space in your kitchen, and your kitchen is valuable real estate. And if you're not using that at least weekly, it shouldn't be in your home.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I have a red tablecloth that was my grandma's, and I use it for like Christmas or Valentine's Day or birthdays. And then we have one other tablecloth. Otherwise, that's always on. And that's just because I'm worried about the kids destroying the table. But yeah,
we have a lot of things carved in our table. When the kids, we have like "Happy Birthday, Uncle Kyle" carved into our table. They didn't mean to. They just were writing with a pen, like real. It's memories.
Yes. Y'all know
Memories.
what I would say, right? On the answer to this question. You guys already know, right?
It's
It
the
all
container.
comes down to the container concept. It really comes down to, do you have space to store it? And then you need to have a defined, limited space and determine, is this taking up space for that I actually need to be using for forks and spoons and things we have to eat. And then that space that's defined, if there is room for it, then that determines how much of that stuff that you can have. I have one drawer in my the one cabinet in my dining room, and that is my drawer. And when I've gotten a new, like my mother-in-law used to love to give me tablecloths, you know, and so when I would get a new one, it was like, okay, do I love this new one more than ones that are in here, because I have to take something out for it to be able to fit in there? And that would either let me say I don't love this new one as much, it can go, or it would, you know, determine what needed to leave and be decluttered.
Yeah, that's good.
So Mama G asks, course for the UK. Yeah, so this course is available anywhere in any country for anyone who wants to take it, and you can do it at your own pace. So there's videos and podcasts and printables, and it comes with a Facebook Live page where like a Facebook page where we'll be doing some lives. There's such an amazing. Are you guys blown away by the support already in this group in the community?
Oh yeah, it's so cool.
It is so cool, and I think people are even more engaged because they've paid money to be part of the group, right? So these are people committed to changing their lives, and it's so inspiring. And I think the Facebook group, I don't know, it's one of my favorite parts of the whole course. But again, if you don't want to be a part of Facebook, any lives that we do, we're actually going to upload them right to the course too under bonus. So you're not going to miss a thing if you're not part of the Facebook group either.
It really has the best of both worlds, because the course itself within the course site can be done at your own pace whenever you want to, but then the Facebook group adds in that accountability level. So if, you know, I know a lot of my people, including me, accountability kind of scares us because of past failures. So you will get everything out of just the course. But if you need that additional somebody, you know, Dawn has a schedule of leading people through, we're going to work on this space and then this space, that's going to be in the Facebook group. And so that will be really valuable for people who need that to be successful. So it really has both of them. And
we're actually
takeyourhouseback.com.
Yeah, thanks, Dana.
Shelly just said she bought the course. How does she access it? So when you buy the course, you're going to get an instant email. The course doesn't actually open until January 1st, but you're going to get an email with the link and access to the Facebook page with our secret code. If you haven't got that, you've probably entered in your email incorrectly, which is totally normal and completely happens. So
or
you can
spam. Yeah, check your spam.
Or check your spam. Yeah. So you can email us, you can reach out to us if that has happened, and we'll fix it up for you and make sure that you can gain access to the course, Shelly.
Because we have a Jackie, and Jackie is amazing. Yes. Isn't she? Like she has sent me emails like, hey, so-and-so's asking about this. And she's just really great at facilitating all that. And I know she's very responsive. So you will get taken care of. You're not going to be left high and dry.
Gail asked,
and we are doing a Facebook Live on Friday in the private group to kick off the course. And so if you can register before then, you'll be able to join us for that, which will be a lot of fun.
So Gail asked really quickly, she said she's a big sentimentalist. How do you decide what to keep and what not? And again, the container concept here, right? And so for us, it's so important that we have a memory bin that's not huge for each family member. And when it's full, it's full. And so you're limiting yourself to whatever size it is. And this is where your sentimental, special things go, whether it's your kids or yourself or your spouse. But when it's full, you go through and you cultivate, you edit that collection of things so that it's never overwhelming. And man, I feel like having this bin is it just is life-changing when it comes to decluttering, because you don't have to worry about letting things go that are special because they have a special protected place to go.
And taking that even further, you know, because sometimes it might be a piece of furniture. I mean, I hear from people a lot, and I know you guys do as well, who, you know, have inherited sometimes an entire house full, sometimes multiple housefuls of their deceased parents' furniture. I know my husband and I, we've been through that as we cleaned out his parents' home. And it all comes down to the container concept. Yes, the memory bin. It's such a perfect visual defined space. But even if it's things that wouldn't fit in a bin, it still comes down to that same concept. So as something comes into your house, the reality is, once you actually grasp this limit, concept, is that something else is going to have to leave in order to make room for this. And so that either gives it a place of honor, because what is not honoring, what I've had to accept on my own, in my own issue, my own stuff, is that it's not honoring to have a big pile in the garage of stuff. I'm not actually enjoying that. Instead, I resent that stuff, which is really not the purpose of the sentimental stuff, but it has an actual place in my home because I removed something to make room. Or I realize, oh, I'm not actually willing to remove anything I already have that I know I love for this. And so then it lets me let it go without saying it's not valuable. Of course it's valuable. It's just the reality of the space that I have. I have a limited amount of space. I can't keep everything.
And so Seneca asks, do you have to have Facebook to have the course, and is it on Facebook? So no, the course is its own little thing with videos that you can watch at your own leisure and podcasts you can listen to.
TakeYourHouseBack.com.
TakeYourHouseBack.com, yes. So you can access everything there starting January 1st. But there is a bonus of a Facebook support group. But again, you don't have to have Facebook, because anytime we do any live videos giving information, we're going to upload those to the course for you so that you'll have access to that, so you won't miss anything. And Adriana says, help, I'm decluttering my house, but Goodwill is not accepting donations. Salvation Army is too far. It's supposed to be raining and she doesn't know what to do with all this stuff. What do I do? I have advice, but do you guys have advice?
Well, tell us what you would do.
So I am having a really good luck with Facebook Marketplace offering things for free, and just putting it out there, like taking pictures of it, putting it for free. People are so grateful. And then we just schedule a time, but I leave it outside of my doorstep at that time. I've gotten rid of so many things, but I've also sold some things, which is something I usually didn't do. It's been really fun. It's been fun. And before Christmas, we wrapped everything that we were giving away for free as gifts. And I thought the kids were so excited.
Is so fun. Yes.
Yeah. So we took pictures of it, we offered it for free, and then we wrapped it up and put it at the doorstep. And it just made me feel so good.
Yeah, that's totally what I would recommend as well. And I mean, if it's raining, if you have like a porch, you can put it under there, put it in a plastic bag. But anything I've heard that you put for free on Marketplace, even if you live in the country or an out of the way area, is like goner. I saw a question too saying, I have a cube shelf for toys, but Christmas happened and now they don't fit. Help. Dana, what would you recommend for that?
It all comes down to the container. I mean, it really does. It does. Because we're talking about toys, which is an extra level of kind of drama and trauma there sometimes, of kids getting rid of stuff. But the container concept is basically that when you have a limited amount of space in your home and in that shelf, like if that is your toy shelf, then that's the limited amount of space. And so you don't have to say you've got to get rid of stuff. Instead, you just say, oh, great, we need to put your new stuff away, but it doesn't fit. It's not me saying that I don't like your old toys. It's me saying it just doesn't fit. I mean, that's a fact. Like, it's not a power play that we have between us. And so as I say, this doesn't fit. So what are you willing to get rid of to make room for this new stuff that came in? And even though it seems like they won't, I'm telling you, I hear from parents all the time who say, I cannot believe it worked. And they ended up getting rid of so much more than I thought they would. Now, the issue here is that it doesn't have to be, you can do whatever you want to do, but it's their choice. Like, it's literally, if they say, you know what, I don't want this new thing because I want to keep that old one. Okay. I mean, like,
that's what I was going to say too. I'm like, do not feel obligated to keep new toys just because they're new, right? We often get gifts from people and we feel guilt. We don't keep guilty clutter in our house. We have boundaries on our home. And so if you don't love something and your kids would rather keep their old stuff, you don't feel guilty. You let that go.
Or if
and I know,
go ahead.
I say, I know the question then comes too, but my mother-in-law is going to come over and she's going to look around for the Barbie house, and I had to move past that. Like my own mom, I would talk to her about it and explain it, but some of the relatives that were a little further out, I don't owe them an explanation. Like, it's my house, you know, and I never want to offend anybody. But again, like, you know, Cass said, like, we can't just keep it to keep other people happy.
Well, and blaming that container, just saying, oh, I
Yep.
know, but you know what? We just didn't have the space. Look, our space that we have for this kind of stuff is full. We didn't have the space. And they will, I know it's hard, but they will eventually start to realize you mean business. Because I used to be the person that people felt like they could dump everything on because I was excited to get it. Like, that's part of my problem. I was thrilled when people gave me their junk. And so people thought that they could give me, you know, all this kind of stuff. And over time of me either saying no or them finding out that I ended up donating it or whatever, then they realized, oh, Dana really is really trying to change. She really is trying to get her house under control, which most people who knew my house were like, oh, good, you know, but they still would give me stuff.
So Willa Richardson asks, do we have advice for decluttering organizing for a 10-year-old with ADHD? She's a butterfly, which makes sense. So right off the bat, if you haven't done decluttering with a child at that age before, it's going to be very hard. So a quick thing that I recommend is when they're maybe watching TV or something, you looking at things that you know that they don't play with and you putting into a box, and then allow your child to shop that box. And so I find for my kids, it's a lot easier for them to say, I want to keep this, I want to keep this, I want to keep this, than deciding what to let go of. And I don't know that, but this is a really touchy subject because some people would say don't go into a 10-year-old space and make any of those decisions at all. But Dawn, you've taken a different tactic with your kids too to let them let go. If you could share that.
Yeah, you know, I think it depends on the relationship we have with our kids, right? Like, I'll just get rid of their stuff, but I feel like I have equity with them and we have a level of trust that I'm not breaking that. But if our kids are older and, like you said, we haven't done this a lot or we don't have that, I love the idea of paying them for a box of toys. I have a friend who had 11 and 13-year-old, and she was like, they would not part with anything. Everything was special. And so she said, okay, fill up a laundry basket and I'll give you $5. And it caused them, you know, you could say it's bribery, but it caused them to have to say, well, which is more valuable to me? Would I rather have the $5 or would I rather have all of these toys? And she said they were just like, done, deal, like, and filled up the basket. And again, at some point we want to involve our kids in this and we want them to learn how to do this and to respect the containers and all of that. But in the beginning, if we just need to get stuff out of our house so we can function again and have a little extra breathing room, they can experience what it's like to have a simplified space, I'm okay with that. So.
My kids always loved it when I would just, like, they loved it if they were at school and I cleaned out their room and they came home, they were like, this is amazing. You're the best, Mom. Yeah. I mean, you know, you can't guarantee that. But the other thing too is the decluttering method that we're teaching takes out the power struggle that naturally happens when you are helping someone else to declutter, because you're using all fact-based stuff. I mean, like, we're doing yes and no questions, like nothing is emotion based and nothing is you should get rid of that and you should keep this, you know. And so it, like, the small thing is, like, my daughter with her bookshelf, we said, okay, this is how much room we have for books. Put your favorite ones on there first. And like Cass was saying, they're getting to pick their favorite ones. I mean, that is fun. Like, that's actually fun to them. And then by the time the bookshelf is full, you've already sorted out, these are the ones I like and these are the ones I don't like as much. And then when you find one that you do like, you just one in, one out that and say, okay, what on here do you not like as much as this new one? And it takes that power struggle out of it. And it's very concrete. Works well for me and works well for children. So
yeah, shopping your stuff, I call it with my kids. Let's shop your stuff. And that totally works. So I got asked, how do you make homes for stuff when you have no home space, no storage, very small space? So I have to say the biggest organizing myth is that I just need to get organized and then all my stuff will fit, or I just need more storage and then my stuff will fit. Organizing does not create more space. Decluttering creates more space. And so if you're struggling to find homes for all of the stuff in your home, it's because you have too much stuff. And I hate saying it, but the truth is you have too much stuff. And so it's time to grab a bag and start hunting for things you're not using, you're not loving, that can go, to make space for the things that you do use and you do love. And the only thing I can say is it gets easier. Letting go gets so much easier. You're going to see the benefit and you're going to start feeling excited about letting go instead of dreading letting go. I promise you it will happen. And in the course, Dana does share a method for decluttering that is painless, that doesn't feel like emotion and emotional.
And that method too will, part of it is it helps you figure out where things are supposed to go. And then as you know where it's supposed to go, if there's something already there, then it solves that problem too. Like it works through this whole system. Because I know I'm in my car, obviously, and there is a diesel truck next to me who decided to just let his motor run. So I'm going to turn my sound off. Sorry about that.
I feel targeted. Patricia says I feel targeted. You know what? I started from an organizing angle. I mean, both of you guys started from a decluttering angle. I started from the opposite. I was like, I'm just going to get my house organized. And so I bought a bunch of containers and I was like, I'm going to do my closet. But then I was like, wait a minute. Even all the best folding in the world, which I don't love doing, can't fit all my stuff in here. And I had to let go. And I wish I would have started from decluttering first. And that is 100% what I recommend that you do. It's just easier. It's easier to declutter, to thin it out, to edit your stuff. And then you can go back and sort of tweak all your systems and make things the way you want. But step one is always just letting it go. Fill in a box or a bag.
Which again is super easy for Cass, but for the rest of us.
My face I was making was on the guy who's like revving his engine, but he's gone now. But what I was going to say was I thought that by starting with decluttering, which I'm saying starting, but it's starting what actually ended up working. I had started so many times buying organizing stuff and it never worked. So I thought I was like accepting my failure by starting with decluttering. And in reality, it ended up achieving all the things I had wanted to achieve by trying to get organized, but had never been able to do. I was able to find all my stuff. I had places for things. Like all the things that I thought I needed to organize in order to have happen actually happened just by decluttering. So
Guy and Jackie ask, how much is the course in Canadian? Don't make me math, okay? If you use the coupon code earlybird20, you'll get it for $79 US, which I want to say is like 99. Is that right? Math, exchange rates. I'm sorry. I don't know. But use the coupon code earlybird20 to save that $20 off. And you only have 2 days. You only have until the 31st. So
it'll be available. Yeah, it'll be available through the end of January, but the early bird discount ends tomorrow night, December 31st at takeyourhouseback.com.
Oh gosh. And you just get to see our faces. We didn't fight, but we didn't always agree either. But I think at the end we came around to it.
I think we agreed on pretty much everything. I kind of loved that. But we would come at it from different angles and we'd be like, what? And then we're like, oh, actually we're saying the same thing. Like I loved it. It was really fun. Yeah.
Dreamy said says, how do you deal with the financial guilt of letting go of everything? It's such a waste of money. We talk about the different reasons why people struggle to let go. And this financial guilt is one of the things we 100% talk about. And again, using Dana's method, it kind of takes the emotion out of it, but it's also, I'm a big believer in knowing your why. So why is it that it's the financial? Did you struggle financially as a kid? Did your parents struggle? And it's a learned behavior. How can we see the difference between our stuff and money? The money's already been spent. It's gone. Owning these things does not make you any richer. And I think just having that self-awareness really does help when it comes to letting go. Like, okay, this isn't real, my feeling like I'm throwing away $20, that's my anxiety talking, because I used to struggle financially.
Well, and if I look at a space and I'm overwhelmed and I'm irritated with that space, which is how I always feel when I start decluttering a space, and I start to feel that like, oh my goodness, it would cost me $20 to replace this, I will say, okay, Dana, looking at this space, would you be willing to pay $20 if this space was clear and usable and beautiful? And I'm like, yeah, I would give somebody $20 if they could make this space clear and usable. And when I look at it that way, I'm like, okay, there's value in the space being usable. And it changes how I view that value question. And the reality is, if I ask myself that about 5 different items that might cost $20 to replace, I might actually end up replacing one of them. So it's not 100, and even then, that's rare. I mean, most of the time I'll get rid of 5 things and I won't ever miss any of them. But even if I do down the road, I will put that $20 value on this space having been usable between now and this hypothetical time when I might need something.
And ask yourself, would I trade this stuff for a clutter-free home? Would you trade all the junk in your house you're not using and loving for a home that doesn't get messy, that stays tidy, that's easier to maintain? Would you trade the stuff you're not using for that? Yes, you would. So do that, because that's what you're doing. You're trading the stuff you're not using and you're loving for freedom from a cluttered home. And just thinking about it that way can be so, so helpful.
That's my dog barking in the background.
Laura asks, sorry, go, Dana.
Sorry.
Go, Dawn. No, go.
We don't realize though either, like how much this stuff in our house, this extra clutter, stresses us out. And like when you actually look at there's just all kinds of things. When you actually look at the brain science, and especially for any of our friends that do struggle with anxiety and depression and ADD and ADHD, that we all do better in a highly simplified space if we do have those struggles. And so I think that for me too helped like really add more value to the simplified space over the stuff. Like you really, deserve to have a peaceful environment around you.
So Laura asked what Clutterbug Dawn and Dana are. So Dawn is a ladybug like me, and Dana, do you guys want to guess if you follow her? I guessed. Dana is a butterfly, a beautiful butterfly. Sorry. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. We appreciate your time spending with us. Again, if you want to spend more time with us, it's takeyourhouseback.com. Use the code earlybird20 to save that $20 now. And we hope to see you. We're doing a Facebook Live on Friday in the course. So if you've signed up, you'll see our faces again in that community there. And we just hope to see you and just take your house back for the new year. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate your time.